This time on the Austin Healey channel, the front end gets aligned and I start to have some problems with my parts. This week we're going to work on something I've been putting off for a while, and that's the suspension. If you recall, we put a new frame on. That was a big part of the project. And the new frame has adjustments up top on the top of the wishbone shock absorber thing. So basically everything needs to be realigned. One way to do it would be take it to a shop and say, hey, align my car. Another way to do it is to do it yourself. First thing we're going to tackle is the tracking, the toe in. The tires, if they're perfectly parallel, you could turn the steering wheel and it would stay in that position. Big truck going by. If they're towed in a little bit, then if you're turning and you let go of the steering wheel, it'll track back to the middle because it has just a little bit of resistance going in. If they're splayed out, if it's towed out, then it's just going to go all over the place and it's going to be incredibly hard to handle. So getting that aligned is, well, it's very, very important for the safety. It's also, on the original car, the only adjustable part on the suspension. So that shows how important it is. It's simply adjusted by this bar here, which pushes these in and out, which affects how the tires move in and out. So how do we go about measuring this? Well, if you read in the service manual, you can measure from one tire to the other and do that in the front and the back, and you want the front to be between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch narrower than the back. Okay. One thing you need to consider though, there might be deformities in your tire or in your wheel itself. What the service manual suggests is you make a mark on your tire, take the measurement, roll the car forward until that measurement is in the back, and you take that again. That way it makes up for any differences in your tires or in your wheels themselves. So let's give that a try. We're going to mark it with a piece of tape, mostly so you can see it. And we're going to measure from this inside, well, we take our tape measure and we're just going to hook it on the inside. When we do that, we have to be careful. If we squeeze really hard, we can get a different measurement because, you know, we're measuring off of rubber. So we're going to measure just below the frame, which is right here. There, that's a big mark. You'll be able to see it. So from here over to here, just below the frame, is 45 and a 1/16. Now we're going to roll the car forward. And it's 45 and an 1/8. So what's the difference between them? A 1/16. So we're actually really, really good. The people who built the frame have added an extra feature, and that's the camber angle. The camber angle, if you have your two wheels, you can have negative camber where the wheels tilt in slightly, or positive camber where they tilt out slightly. And depending on what you want your car to do is how you set it up. So I've looked in the manual, and it lists all of the angles in case you have an accident and you need to realign things for some reason. But originally there is no adjustment for the camber angle. So you just bolt on the top of the suspension, the Armstrong shock, which is the top part of the A-arm, and everything's set. But we're in this situation So we've gone back to the manual to get that size, get that dimension, and we're going to set it. For us, the angle is 1 degree positive. So the top of the wheels are pointing out slightly. 1 degree. 1 degree isn't very much. So, how are we going to measure it? With this, I have it's a digital gauge, a digital angle gauge, and just a piece of angle iron. So we're gonna put that on the side of the wheel and get our measurements off of that. I've cut some little notches in here so it'll fit nice and tight against the rim of the wheel. I want to make sure it's not touching the spokes, but you know, to get also getting as much of a width as possible. First, you want to get this bar perfectly, or as close as you can, to 90 degrees. So once you're really close, then you take it and put it on this angle, and then you take your reading. And then you tighten the nuts, the bolts, and everything changes. So you get close, you try to tune it in, you do a little bit at a time until you get right there. So the whole Armstrong shock is mounted here on a plate, and there's some holes in it. You can use this bolt to tighten it up and push the wheel out. Right now we're almost exactly 90 degrees. That moved it half a degree. I think we're close enough for now, so we'll try the other side. Now that I have the camber angle finally set, it took me a lot of times to go back and forth, getting it adjusted, tightening it a little bit, tightening it down, checking it, moving it a little bit, tightening it, till it's just right. That's how adjustments go. It's not a do it one time and you're done thing. It's a back and forth play with the material to get it exactly where you need it. Because when you tighten the bolts down, things move around. That's how it works. Because it's had so much movement, I'm now gonna go back. Well, before the camber angle was in, and now it's out. It's supposed to be out, but that's where it is. So I'm wondering if that has affected the toe in, because why not? So we're going to go back again and double check that to see if it moved. I just checked the toe in with the new caster angle, and it changed it dramatically. So I've adjusted that again. Now I've gone back to the camber angle and it's off a bit. So I'm going to adjust that and go back and forth until we can narrow it down to the right position. When putting hose clamps on, you should plan on the direction you want to put them. So you need to think, like, if I'm on the side of the road and the engine's hot, what's the easiest way to get these on and off? So, you know, because that could happen. You could blow a radiator hose and you're going to be stuck on the side of the road trying to get a radiator hose off. I want to do it so I can just come down from the top and loosen it up. There's no shortcuts. I had bought this because I thought, oh, it's a couple bucks, it'll be a lot easier. Well, all I had to do was re-drill the hole and re-tap the threads. And now I think maybe it'll work. Oh, and I had to get a new nut too. I almost put this on backwards. I have to switch it around. This brace is getting in the way of the cable, and it's supposed to be the other way. This is supposed to face outward. Well, I can't say I'm happy right now. I don't know if you can see in there, but this hole they've drilled in the top of it and filled with this stupid plug just pours out water. There's no discernible way for this to seat. It just dumps water. I've tried wrapping it in, well, first of all, I looked to see if this, see how it's domed here? I looked to see if that seated on anything, and it doesn't. Also, the threads are so loose in there, it just kind of floats. I tried wrapping it in Teflon tape. That hasn't worked either. Maybe I need to go crazy on that and do it some more. But what a piece of shit. Can't say I'm happy here. Using some garage language. That's how loose the motherfucker is in there. I don't know if you can see it, but the wiggle is in the bolt, not in the Allen key. And you still got water just gushing out. I think I got it to hold now. I have to check it when I can get some pressure on it. But I just used a of Teflon tape. Shitload, that's a technical term. I think the British say shed load, but maybe that's a more proper way of saying it. Anyway, if I was going to make a new piece and forge it and put my name on it, I'd make sure it's good as f***. I tried to take this bolt out and use it, but it wouldn't budge. I ended up breaking the, I put an impact gun on a bit, ended up breaking the bit, so it's not going to help either. Hopefully, all that Teflon tape will do its job. Alright, this seems to have gotten it going. So, maybe we're going to give this a try. Well, okay, so I'm a little surprised. I thought this would be like a cap, and then with a washer underneath it, but it doesn't seem to be. So I'm trying to figure out how this seals. You know, when you have national NPT, National Pipe Thread, and it's on a taper, so it as you tighten it up, it comes together. This certainly fits in there tighter. Well, okay. Yeah, this is crazy. So, I'm gonna leave this as a backup because it's all mangled and stuff. We'll leave it as a backup if, when I get pressure on the other one, if it doesn't hold, we'll try this one. But it might be the hole in the pump itself is too big. I don't know. I'm very frustrated with this. I'm tired of buying new parts and them not working. Well, while we're playing with the steering, I have the steering wheel, just set in place, and I was turning it, kind of playing around, and found that there's quite a bit of play in it before it actually turns the wheels, more than it should. And on the later models, there's an adjustment screw here, but on these, the early ones, there is not. So I remembered that I'd stuck I stuck a gasket on this. I thought, okay, well, I could take the gasket off, and that would take up some space, and this little bump right here would fit closer to where it's supposed to go, tighten that gap so there'd be less play. So I took it off, and those shims you just saw me stick on there, I found that those were in there. There's quite a stack of them. I've had this off a couple times now. I'm trying to find exactly that right balance. I'd taken too many off and it was too tight. So now I've added 2 back on. We're going to tighten it down and see where we are. So that's the adjustment for these. I didn't realize that. I hadn't even realized that these were on there, these shims, because they looked, they were in place, they were all stacked up tight, and they looked just like they were part of the top. But now we know that that's the adjustment. There, that feels tight, but not too tight. I think we're going to go with that. Put all the bolts in place. And oh my god, this is so much easier than if I had the whole hood and bonnet on. I get used to using wrenches and then forget to get sockets. This would be a good place I could use a socket, or even an air wrench. But I get used to the wrenches. There, now I got 2 extra shims, in case one day I need them. I'll probably save them, never ever need them. Ever have a shit day?
If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to tell you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Thanks for watching, and your support is very much appreciated.